A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. My sister told me this quote, and I'm pretty sure she got it from one of the personal development books that she was reading or listening to. She's more of an Audible than a hardback copy person. I still love her though. And I really like this quote because it sums up a lot of what happens in relationships and what we do with other people. And that is, we try to convince them that we're right, that we know better than they do, that we know what they need, and it's not always true. And it isn't always the best way to make friends, to get to connection, or to make someone feel like you have faith in them and their capabilities and capacities. So I bring this up for a few reasons. One of the biggest challenges that we have today is that a lot of us aren't actually connecting with other people. We talk at them, we hear them, but we're not really listening. We pretend we're engaging, but really our internal dialogue is so strong that we're not present with anyone around us, or we're so busy trying to push our agenda that we can't tell that they don't even need us, or maybe they were already willing to help us and we didn't need to do all this unnecessary sharing. I'm Latia. I'm a data engineer, and I'm building out an LLC, and I do soul searching sometimes. And as I was brainstorming, I'm getting clearer on what it is that I'm about and like what I care about. And I guess like the long story short of it is that what I hated growing up is how much it felt like everyone was trying to control me, tell me who I was, or act like they had the best answers. And a lot of that still continues to this day, where strangers or people I barely know are reaching out to me with concern, and it's just like, keep that negative energy to yourself. I get it, I say things where most people wouldn't be as honest as I am, and it's just a moment. Like, if I needed you, I'd reach out to you, and I'm not reaching out to you, so bye. But along with that are all the assumptions and difficulties that we project onto people. So what I noticed is that I spent a lot of time, especially as a child, just arguing with my parents. I didn't do it at school because like they laid out straight rules and it's just like, oh, here are the rules, I'll play with them, I don't mind. Because like I am by nature, like I don't mind following rules if there's integrity behind it and I see that like, okay, it's very clear cut, very straightforward, like it's not that difficult. So like being a good student is really not that difficult. And even like growing up, it's like with my mom, it's like she'd be inconsistent or she'd say one thing to another. And my dad, we'd only see him for summers, but he would be very passive aggressive and wait till the end of summer, and then he'd be like, and here's all the ways in which you messed up. So I was reading Outwitting the Devil, and there's this fear of criticism that prevents people from doing things. And I definitely have a little bit of that where like part of me is like, oh, people are going to criticize me, they're going to come for me. Like one day people are going to look back on these videos and be like, wow, Latia, you're crazy. And it's like, nah, I wasn't. I still believe those things, or I don't believe those things, or they were true in the moment. Because the thing about truth and time is that things change. So someone who is like crazy and wild can become very put together, and someone who is put together can be crazy and wild. I've witnessed lots of that. But there's this like fear of criticism that sometimes prevents us from taking action on who we think we are, who we would like to be, or what we would like to have in life. And I know that like lately I'm getting like too much criticism and feedback, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm shutting down. Like I need to like just kind of like reboot, get back in touch with myself and set things straight. But the big challenge with that is this, for me, it's the notion of external anything. Like external opinions, external validation, external expectations, external pressure. We live in a world where we're so determined by the people around us that it's crazy. And I know I was telling one of my sisters, I was like, man, you know, I'm just very easily influenced by the people around me. So if someone's talking about something, whether I like it or not, I end up taking it on subconsciously and then like amplifying it. So if you're complaining about something, I'll complain about it back at you harder, and you'll get annoyed, and I'll just be like, oh, that's what you do. It's just rearing its head like that, because like that's just the type of person I am. So like one of my friends would complain about things, and one of my acquaintances or associates. I'm also like really big on honoring levels of friends right now, and I'm just like, you know what? I actually don't have that many friends. I use the term friend because a lot of people do it, and it's just easier to be like, yeah, my friend, instead of being like, oh yeah, this person I know from this thing or this. But then I've learned the word associate recently, and I was like, dang, that's a great word to use for these relationships with people where it's like, I mean, we talk enough, but like not really. Or like we're connected, we're associated, but we're not that deep. But one of my associates would complain about this thing, and one day I complained about it, but harder, and she kept trying to like divert me and like change my thinking. I'm like, bro, I'm not stupid. You're not tricking me with this like mind game you're trying to play. What's wrong with you? Why can't you handle it? Why can't you accept what you tossed at me? And she was like, oh, I do that? And I was like, yeah, you do. You do it real hard, but I do it better because I'm just intense like that. But when it comes to these external sources, I'm like, going back to my sister, when I told her this, she was like, wow, change your story. You don't need to say that. And it's like, no, it's actually a fact of human nature. All people are influenced by the people that are around them because by law of rhythmic, hypnotic rhythm would be Outwitting the Devil language. But even the law of attraction and different things, like attracts like. So that's why birds of a feather flock together is whoever you associate with, whoever you spend the most time with, you're going to be like them. Because you can't help but be like the common denominator of the group. Yeah, you might think you're better than them, but at the end of the day, you're just like them if you're still with them. So if you're not with people who are better than you, then it's just like, what are you doing with yourself? And not like you can't have friends who are at differing levels, because you have friends who are at your level and your peers, and you challenge one another like rivals. I think Black Clover, Asta, and Yuno. And I also think Naruto, Sasuke, and Naruto. Where they're competing and they're trying to get better and they see each other and there's that motivation. Then you have your mentors and your guides. That's I'm like, I see the guy with like the patch over his eye in Naruto. He's coming to mind, or like the Wizard King. That's like your dream, your mentor, and you have your captain who trains you. And then you have the next generation. So in Black Clover especially, I think of like the little kids at the orphanage that Asta, they're like, oh, we love you, know, you're great, but Asta, you trash. And this one kid's like, well, if Asta can become a magic knight, then I can do it too. And when Asta like succeeds, he's like, oh snap, anything's possible. But there are those differing levels. So it's like, if it's a level like that where it's like I'm paying it forward and helping someone behind me, I'm like competing with a peer and we're making each other better, like iron sharpens iron. Or there are these people who inspire me and they're like pulling me up, like I'm hopping on their shoulders. That makes sense. But a lot of the times what we do in our relationships are, and my sister recommended The Power of Now, or The Power of I Am. And it talks about how sometimes we think we're chickens, but we're really eagles. And when we say we're gonna fly, chickens are, no, you can't fly. You don't got this. Like, you're a chicken. We don't do those things. And then when you fly and take off, it's scary. There's no one around you supporting you. But then when you fly and you get out of that environment, now you realize, oh yeah, I'm an eagle. I'm soaring. I can go far. But the challenge with these external forces and hearing the same message over and over again is that there's this other definition of insanity that I believe Natalie Hodson used at Growth or Influencer, where insanity is thinking you're someone you're not. And reading Outwitting the Devil, it was just so good, because there's this moment where he was like, I never pretend to be anything other than I am, or like who I think I am. And I was just like, wow, that's so powerful, because I usually, it's like, yeah, I honor the truth of where I'm at and where I've been, and like, this is like my truth in this moment and like in time, like here I am. But it's like, well, what if I honor the self that I'm becoming and where I'm going and who I want to be, and that enthusiastic future self and, you know, the inner truth. And I was just like, huh, that's deep. I like that. So it's challenging dealing with people and their opinions and their unsolicited advice and their hopes to make your life better. But at the end of the day, it's all about control. I believe people are just trying to control us, make us do what they think is good for us, and stroke their own egos by spouting out what they think is fine. But the challenge is that not every person is going to give you what you need. And so now we learn to rely upon other people and their determinations of us, and then we're limited. And I speak to this from experience, where I've been, especially lately, like just very negative and down, and I don't try to be, but it's just like there's this like sense of not having control over my life, not having the influence that I want, not being where I want to be, not really actually quite knowing where I do want to be. Like I have like this vague general idea, but I haven't had definiteness of purpose and gotten specific in claiming this is where I'm going, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to use all my creativity, power, and conscious and will, like my mental faculties, because I have read Think and Grow Rich, although it's been a while, and create a plan and do it. Because it's like, I feel like, especially in this day and age of the way personal development has gone, I believe like the sense of entitlement, where it's like something for nothing, definitely comes up a lot, especially in spiritual spaces where it's like all you have to do is like pray, and then the universe is going to amplify an answer, and it's going to be so big. But it's like faith without works is dead. You can have all the faith in the world, but if you're not taking action, nothing's going to happen. So what will it take to take action? What will it take to get in motion? What will it take to be so clear on what you want, or so determined by your why, or whatever it is that floats your boat and gets you going, to get you going? Because like for me, I know I set goals. I've been setting goals since elementary school. And I would just write out friends, spiritual, religion, school, family, all the different areas of my life, and I just write down goals or little snippets of what I wanted. And so I'm very well versed in creating the vision of who I want to be, what I want to accomplish. And the part that I'm really good at, but I forget in terms of my personal goals, is planning. I'm really good at coming up with plans and doing research and figuring out what it takes to get something done. And yet the amount of times I actually do that in my personal life, it's just like, why don't you plan your meals? And my mom asked me this recently. I was like, Mom, genius. Like I'm actually really good at planning stuff out once I sit and focus. The challenge is that like, I don't always sit and focus. And then like, I have lots of excuses. You don't need to hear them. But I use excuses for not doing the work that I know to do, instead of doing the work that I know I need to do and getting it done. But those are things that I'm noticing and aware of, and I'm excited to start practicing, because as I did a brainstorm on the 7 areas of life that I got from doing my high performance coaching, the focal point session, it was amazing. But I did a brainstorm on 7 areas of life, and then from that brainstorm, I was like, I'm seeing trends. I have this idea, and I'm like, what habits would I want to create to amplify these areas of my life? So then I got another piece of paper, and I went through each one, and I was like, here are things that look like the big trends or the big ideas or the major focuses, or like what I'm going to actually implement. And then now I have this list, this smaller list, where it's like, okay, now it's like most areas have a few bullet points. One area has a lot, but that's just because like finances, I'm like, am I YNAB? Am I something else? How am I going to blend the two? And I haven't done my budgeting, so I know once I do the budget and I make my finances boring, it's going to be great. But from there, I'm like, wow, I like to keep things like difficult and airy-fairy and be like spontaneous. But at the same time, like, why am I using all my mental capacity on silly choices every day? Whereas if I get a routine, even if the routine is just like Mondays are exploring days, so I'm going to do something artistic like a figure drawing session or whatever, and Wednesdays right now are coaching days, like I have a coach, I receive coaching, and Sunday is S Factor day versus whatever, and then Saturday is like a brainstorm day where I can just brain dump and explore what I need and do research. Like I read all of Outwitting the Devil in a day and took notes and reviewed the notes a little bit and have just been like creating, and I'm like, wow, like, okay, I can take advantage, especially since a new year's coming, a new decade's coming. This is like a great opportunity for me to be like, all right, let me set clear goals, clear learning values, clear, like, what are the things I'm going to focus on and develop, plan out my year, plan out my months, and then plan out my weeks, and just keep reviewing and revising and getting better at it. Because it's like, you know what? With attention and intention and focus, things are going to change magnificently. And not only for me, but if you're open to it, you can do it as well. So if you're curious about what my process looked like, or seeing more or hearing more, please let me know. I'm willing to share. I mean, I can take a picture. It's colorful. I don't know if it would be helpful. One's colorful, one's not. So let me know if you're curious and would like to know more. Let me know what you're working on this year. I like to hear and share. And have a wonderful day. You know, like it, dislike it, subscribe, whatever floats your boat. I'm excited to see you next time.